morning to you, my dear viewer, wherever you're watching us from. This is a lovely Thursday morning, and today we are back in the Morning Digest, and today we are talking matters law. And today I don't have a lady on the show as always, but I have a young gentleman that's going to be talking to us about matters of the law. And in the show today, we have Dennis Makau, who is a lawyer, and I will allow him to introduce himself. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you so much. My name is Dennis Makau. I'm a lawyer, I'm a husband, I'm a father of two, and I'm happy to be in this show today as we discuss matters law. And I know you're going to be happy watching this show, and God bless you.
And enlightened, eh?
Yes.
Thank you so much, and karibu, and thanks for accepting to come to the show.
Yeah.
And first of all, before we delve into the matters of the law, would you tell us what, out of all the many faculties of study you could have chosen, why particularly did you choose to study the law? What motivated you?
Okay. Yeah, one of the things that motivated me to go to law school and become a lawyer is the fact that when I was growing up back in the village, I used to see things happening, and because some people had money in the village, they would buy justice with money, and you see they won't go to courts, because in the village most people, even they are not enlightened to go to courts. So most people would go to these administration offices and buy their justice. So I decided that I think because of those challenges that I used to see, I decided one day I'll go to a law school and I will try to demonstrate that beyond chief, beyond the DO, there is another place, another forum where at least you can negotiate your issues and where at least you can get justice. It's not about whatever is happening in the village. There is a place that is higher than that. So that is what motivated me to go to law school and at least to become
a lawyer,
of help, and become a lawyer and help people in the society.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you. I mean, quite a comprehensive answer on why you chose law. And I may want to add that also beyond money, there's justice.
There's
because
justice.
We live in a society where if you have money, it's not even a question of discussion as to who is going to win the case. It's already like the case is won, depending on who has the money. So tell us a bit about some of the myths that people have about lawyers, generally speaking.
One of the myths that stands out for me is that most people think that lawyers are very expensive. So when you approach a lawyer, you think that even before you meet him, you have a certain picture that lawyers are very expensive. And you see, when people are going to meet doctors, they don't think doctors are expensive because what they are looking for is they want their problems to be solved. If someone is sick and he walks into a doctor's office, they will pay whatever the doctor will ask them, without even arguing, without even negotiating. And they won't say that that doctor is very expensive. But most people, when they approach lawyers, they come with that perception that lawyers are expensive. And that is a myth, it's a lie. Lawyers, it's not.
Lawyers are in business just like any other person.
Any other. So you don't need to fear, you don't need to panic when you want to approach a lawyer to handle your issue. You just go, it's business, talk to them, you would strike a deal. And again, we have an act of parliament that regulates our remuneration. We call it Advocates Remuneration Order.
Is that when you're salaried or when you're charging a client?
When you're charging a client. If you want me to represent you, if you want me to do a certain thing for you, it is there. So there's a figure you cannot go beyond. Yes, there is a figure that you cannot go beyond. But I would like maybe to bring in something that I've remembered. One time I was asking someone about how much would so-and-so, I'll not mention the name. It's a high-profile law firm, so definitely I'm not going to mention the name. And the person works in that law firm. So I asked them, how much does this person charge for this kind of case, because he deals with high-profile cases. He told me that his charges range anything from 2M thereabout. So is that amount also within that, you know, the act? I won't say it is within the act.
2 million.
I won't say it is within the act, but there are some some law firms that have branded themselves. There are lawyers who are systems,
Yes.
who are very successful because of the experience
Others
of
would
many
call them
years.
institutions.
Yeah, they're institutions and they are systems. So you will find that they are handling cases of also high-profile people,
Yeah.
people that can afford
Yeah.
to pay them. But not every lawyer will be that expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to mention names.
Figures on
Yeah, I don't want to
figures,
mention names, but some of the lawyers in this city,
Yeah.
there are some lawyers who are very expensive.
Yeah.
But they deal with they deal with government cases.
Yeah.
They will deal with corporate cases.
Yeah.
They will take cases from NGOs.
Yeah.
Yeah, institutions.
Politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not every lawyer is expensive.
Is that expensive?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then they say Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah, that is
If you
very
find some of those lawyers, they have a history.
true. Yes,
And
yes.
if they tell you where they began, then you would understand why they are charging the way they
Very true.
the way they charge.
Very true.
So let's talk about, okay, one myth I've heard, at least, is that lawyers are liars. It's a myth.
It's a myth. It's
What's
a
your
myth.
take on that?
Yeah, most people say, when you tell them, like when you're introducing yourself in a meeting and you tell people you are a lawyer, especially if you're born again, like me,
Yes.
people would ask you, how do you manage
Yes.
being a lawyer
Yeah.
and still you're a believer?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yeah.
So they think there is a conflict of interest between you being a lawyer and being a Christian. Those two things, it's like you can't balance.
Okay.
But it's a myth. In every profession,
Yeah.
I can tell you here that in every profession, there are doctors who are
Unscrupulous.
rogue, who are liars. Yeah, like you go to an hospital. That is the reason why even when people go and do you test, you will have to go to another place to confirm
Oh, yeah.
in this
Oh,
country.
yeah.
Because some people will do you a test and they will tell you maybe your pressure is high, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a doctor.
Yeah.
And you go to another place, you find you don't have pressure. Your
Or-
pressure is normal. So now the same thing happens to legal profession.
legal
There
profession.
are some lawyers,
Yeah.
I will not deny.
Yeah.
There are some lawyers who are liars, but not all lawyers who are liars.
Yeah.
Yeah, some lawyers are very straightforward people, very transparent people.
Yeah.
And they will tell you things from the facts and they will not lie to you.
Oh, yeah.
But
I like that.
it's a myth. It's a
Yeah.
myth that
Yeah.
every lawyer is a liar.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting, and I like the fact that you're defending your profession.
Yes.
And you're saying, like, just like in every other profession, there are rogue elements
Yes.
in every profession, and that's true.
Yeah.
Because it's all a choice that you make when you're working. For example, if someone is an accountant, they always have 101 ways to make shortcuts and make money.
Yeah.
And maybe, unless auditors are very keen, they may never know.
That is
but
very
they
true.
choose to be ethical
Yeah.
and not do that.
Yeah.
So I think those are myths that we will not go by.
Yeah.
And we'll all agree that definitely there are lawyers that are ethical, that respect their profession, and they will never take a client's money,
Very true.
especially when the client wins the case and they are being given compensation for whatever it is that they are asking for. There's a statement I've heard over the years where people say the law is the law.
Yeah.
And when you hear that statement many times, as a human being, you're seeing a case of injustice. Not injustice like from the dictionary definition, but it's like someone their shamba is being taken away.
Yeah.
But their shamba is being taken away because the person that has the documents is the person that the court will actually honor because the court goes by evidence.
Yeah.
So sometimes the law is seen as crude.
Yeah.
And you've had people say the law is the law. So without going into succession yet, what's your take on that, especially when the law is harsh, in my opinion and
Yeah.
in the opinion of most people?
Yeah, that's true.
Is there something you can say about that?
Yeah, I can. It's only that this platform we are in charge.
Yes.
There is a certain statement that we say when we are describing law,
Yeah.
but I won't go towards that direction. But law.
Maybe you can
doesn't-
simplify to fit the context, but just try it in your own
Let
way.
me just say that law is not remedy for everything.
Okay.
And that is the reason why we advise people, we advise even clients, and even when we are doing legal aid, we advise people to pursue what we call alternative dispute resolutions.
Okay.
Because when you go to court You know, it is litigation.
Yes.
Litigation will never provide solutions for everything. There are people that will leave that court, feel like we were denied justice, but if you pursued alternative dispute resolution like arbitration or maybe negotiation, you would have maybe gotten
resolve this matter.
Yeah, amicably.
Well, when you talk about litigation, most ordinary Kenyans may not understand this. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, litigation is simply going to court. Suing someone to get justice. Just going to court. That is what we call litigation.
Okay.
Then litigation is one way how you solve issues.
All right.
But it's not the best.
That's why you mentioned negotiation.
Yeah. And lawyers do everything, even the arbitration, even negotiation, mediation. There are lawyers in those fields that will help you to mediate your matter. They will help you to do arbitration, especially, for example, if I may give an example, it's like in commercial situation, whereby you don't want to waste a lot of time, because as you continue wasting a lot of time, you are losing money because it's business.
Yeah.
So if you stay in court for like 6 months waiting for a judgment, and now there is an injunction. For example, there is an injunction that has been given, don't do this until we get an order from the court, or maybe we get a direction from the court, and then you stay without doing business for 6 months. You will lose a lot of revenue.
Of course.
So we advise people who have commercial issues to settle them outside the court. Go to either a tribunal or maybe you go to an arbitration so that you settle that thing as soon as possible, and then you save that revenue instead of running losses, and you're supposed to be doing your business, and at the end of the day, after 6 months, maybe you find that you are on the wrong, the company was the one on the wrong. You will have wasted a lot of time and a lot of money. And most people will not tell you, most of the lawyers, some lawyers will not tell you that. They will hide so that maybe you will pay them legal fee. But they forget that even in arbitration, lawyers, we have been trained to do arbitration. And when you do arbitration, you are also paid as a lawyer. It's not a must you go to court so that you get your legal fee. If I negotiate your issue in an arbitration setting, you will have to pay me. That is an alternative dispute resolution. So law is law, but if we give the members of public the proper legal aid and education, I would advise people not to be.
It should be the last resort.
That has made the Western countries like America. If you do something small to a person in the street in America, they will sue you. Because now they have been.
It's real business.
It's real business. So sometimes people sue you for nothing.
In fact, that reminds me of a statement I saw somewhere that was saying that lawyers are ambulance chasers. Because they want to know who caused the accident. Can I represent you? And something like that. So there's you mentioned arbitration and mediation. What's the difference? It sounds almost like one and the same thing. Arbitration is whereby you have two people who have a dispute and you want them to arrive to a compromise. It's like it's going to be a win-win. It's going to be a win-win. Nobody will leave that place feeling like unhappy. Mediation is like mediation is whereby, and you see, you need an arbitrator in arbitration, someone that will be in between you. In mediation is about the two of you, but it's another forum. So there will be a mediator, but it will be more like it's the two of you trying to come into consensus and move on. Like me telling you, okay, instead of this going further, why don't we do this? So in that case, there may be no mediator at that time. And I think that's interesting because it brings me to the biblical aspect of we human beings needing Jesus as our mediator before God. And as we talk about the law, many times people forget about eternity. And so as we talk about the law, we need to realize that the law was against us, but Christ came as the mediator. That is very true. So it's good to also consider that fact. And when you are also talking, it reminded me of the scripture that says, if you have an issue with someone, leave your gift. There's that one that says leave your gift, go reconcile with them, then come.
Yeah.
But there's the other one that says call.
Yeah, call that person.
Yes.
Instead of going ahead, beyond the two of you.
Yes.
You should call that person. In fact, one of the sources of the law. You see, in your first year in law school,
Yeah.
you are taught what we call sources of law. And if my memory serves me right, the sources of law, they are in Judicature Act. In the, I think it's chapter 8
Yeah.
of the laws of Kenya.
Yeah.
And one of the sources of law is what we call natural law. It's the law that has been given by God,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
There are so many school of thoughts
Okay.
in matters of law. There are those people who believe, we call them naturalists. They believe that every law you see here is not man-made.
Okay.
That law came from God.
Okay.
So if it maybe I could say that we have laws, when you read the Bible, maybe you will not get them
Like in black and
like
white.
black and white. But there are those people that belong to that school of thought,
Yes.
naturalists.
Yeah.
They will believe that even those laws that you can't find them in the Bible,
They came from God.
the source, it's God.
Okay.
Then there are those who say law is man-made. God never gave man any law. And then those ones, we call them positivists.
Okay.
Yeah, but for me, I'm my school of
Naturalist.
I'm a naturalist. I believe that you should, for example, you just said that the Bible says if you have an issue with your brother, go settle it
before you get to the
before
court.
you go to court.
Actually, it's so clear.
It's very clear for me.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say every law came from
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Interesting. Before we go on break, you'll be telling us about the aspect of specialization.
Yes.
In the Western world, okay, from my observation, and from maybe the aspect that they are really developed, they're several years ahead of us, many years.
Yeah, very true.
In fact, I think in the case of US, we would say hundreds of years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's why people have specialized. And you find that someone is a specialist in family law, succession law. Another one is, all this corporate law. So they represent corporates.
Yeah.
So what's the situation in Kenya when it comes to specialization?
Yeah, here in Kenya, I would say from experience, what I have seen from my experience is that most of the law firms, they won't take one area of specialization. And still that is specialization.
Yeah.
You'll find most of the law firms will specialize in 4 areas. Maybe they will do conveyancing, they will do taxation, they will do criminal, and maybe they will do a bit of insurance, but you cannot do one here in Kenya
And survive.
because of the economy.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be doing several things,
okay.
several areas of specialization, but
Yeah.
still that is specialization because law is very wide.
Yeah.
You can't be doing everything.
Yeah.
Law is very wide. You can't be doing everything.
So maybe what's conveyance? At least the last 3 I understood.
Okay.
But the first one, I'm blank.
Conveyancing is simply property law. How to
Property
deal
law.
with property.
Okay.
Yeah, conveyancing, especially land.
All right.
Specifically land.
Okay.
You know, we have property is divided in many in different categories. There is what we call tangible property.
Like
Like land,
real estate, like a building.
Yeah, like a building, like your car, like your land. And there is what we call intangible property, like trademarks, like copyright. These people who do
Intellectual property.
Intellectual property.
Okay,
So
okay.
intellectual property is intangible. It's a property that you cannot touch,
Yeah.
but it's protected within the law as your property.
Or copyright issues.
Yeah, like music
Okay.
copyrights, trademarks,
Yeah.
and many others.
Yeah.
So that is property. But now conveyancing deals with tangible property,
land.
land
Okay.
property.
All
Yeah,
right.
so it will deal with leases, transfer of land,
Okay.
charges.
Okay.
You know, when you go to a bank and
Yeah.
you want some money
Yeah.
and you want to pay it back.
Yeah.
So the bank will ask you for security.
Oh, yeah.
And you will take your title deed there.
Yeah.
And they will charge that property. After you pay
They
the
give
money,
you back.
they'll give you back.
Wow.
So that's conveyancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, thank you so much for all that information. If you're watching us from social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, please send your comments. And if you have any question, please post your question so that we can ask our guest today, who is Dennis Makau, a lawyer that practices in our country. And so before we go on break, you need to tell us about, when we talk about the law, they say ignorance is no defense.
Yeah.
And you have seen people go to stand before a judge, and because of ignorance, of not knowing what to say, they actually end up in jail, and they are innocent people. Why is it important, shortly before we go on break, for people to understand a bit, at least a bit, about what their rights are and what they should and shouldn't do?
Maybe if you allow me to go back into the myths.
Yes.
Most people, one of the myths that I've seen is that most people believe because they don't run into situations, they don't need a lawyer.
Yes.
They don't need a lawyer. It's until they find themselves in a situation.
Yeah.
Maybe they have been knocked behind by a car. Maybe someone has trespassed. Then they go to see a lawyer.
Yeah.
That myth, I think people should change their mindsets.
Yeah.
And start looking for a lawyer even before. Get a lawyer even before you run into any situation.
Okay.
Get that person, let that person be your personal lawyer.
Yeah.
There are so many issues that happen every day.
Yeah.
And maybe
life
you may
is
need,
unpredictable.
Yeah, life is very unpredictable. You may need that lawyer.
Yeah.
So I would say most people, they think they don't want to know the law because they think at the end of the day, I don't need a lawyer because me, I'm a good citizen. I don't do wrongs, and I don't think I will need a lawyer in my life. But it's a lie.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would advise everybody.
Yeah.
You must be conversant at least when someone does something wrong to you.
Yeah.
You need to know what to tell them. Even in the street, people need to understand that you know the law. Yeah. Yeah. If someone is doing something wrong to you, you tell them, oh, I know the law.
I think many people give up at the point of, I can't afford a lawyer, it's going to take long, let this just pass.
Yeah.
And I think that's a kind of a society we live in because of what you mentioned at the beginning, that people think lawyers are expensive. And I think when we come back, we'll actually be talking about the rigorous, the court process in this country.
Yes.
Now, fearing that lawyers are expensive is one thing.
Yes.
But the process of going to the courts and seeking redress, at least I know a bit of the terminologies in your profession. Seeking redress is a whole horror movie for some Kenyans, and they're like, you know what, I would rather not let divine justice take its course. Whoa. Anyway, we'll be back after the break. Today we have Dennis Makau. He's a lawyer, and he's going to be talking to us a bit about the succession law when we come back after the break.
The blessedness in service. Does it require skill? Does it require training, anointing?
This is where God has called me. I need the anointing. I need to prepare myself, and I need everything. Ask God to anoint you, because serving minus anointing is entertaining.
So whether you are a volunteer, that is, the church is not paying you, or you are on pay, your service level, the excellence, the dedication, the diligence should remain the same.
So let's move from this positioning to functioning.
Welcome back to the Morning Digest. Today we are talking matters law. And like I said, we have our guest, Dennis Makau. And it's important for you to listen and even share the link, because many times you think you do not need a lawyer until you get into problems. And clearly you need a lawyer so that even if you're not in court, even if you're out of court, you understand what is required of you, and especially as a Kenyan citizen. So Dennis, tell us about, you talked about the myth that lawyers are, people assume a lawyer should be argumentative. But talk a bit about the personality of a lawyer. Are there people that are into law, but because of their personality, they go to court and they are not able to persuade the judge based on their personality that their client is not guilty?
Yeah, I would say when you're joining a law school, you come with that personality. But your character is shaped during the training.
Okay.
Lawyers go through a very rigorous training.
Tell us about
more
it.
than any
People may imagine.
Yeah, so you find someone that joined law school with an afro, big hair. After the first year, they shave completely.
Wow.
Because one, you can't manage your hair with the kind of reading that you do in law school.
Really?
That is the reason why when you go to court, most lawyers, they would behave the same. And you wonder, because they went through the same training.
Okay.
You wonder why is it that most of the lawyers, maybe there are exceptions, I know.
Yeah.
There are some people that don't change.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe of what they went through when they were growing up, and maybe they are tough and all that. But most of the lawyers, like 90%, because I've been in the profession and we interact every day, I would say most of the lawyers, because of the training, they behave almost the same.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't have to be argumentative
Yeah.
for you to become a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a myth.
All right.
Yeah, most of the good lawyers I know,
Okay.
they are not, even you wonder why are they successful.
Okay.
When you watch them on TV,
Yeah.
you wonder why is it that this guy is very successful, why?
Yeah.
And then you are left like, hey, you don't
Wow.
understand. It's like pastors, not
Yeah.
all pastors who preach who are successful.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
In fact, just to mention that one, some of the most successful pastors in the globe are very soft-spoken.
Yeah.
But you look at their congregations and you're like, only God
Only
could
God.
have brought these people.
Yeah.
Of course, with the anointing and the man of God
Yes.
is operating in.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about succession, which is apparently an area that you tend to be a little biased on as a lawyer, because in every profession, I've come to understand, and this is interesting, and I would say this is the beauty of life. You realize, like, even in the medical profession, there are those that will decide to be dentists, others prefer to be gyners, others pediatricians. Now, in the law, you said as much as you cannot be a jack of all trades,
Yeah.
you narrow down to 4 areas.
Yeah.
I say this for the benefit of those that may, not have had the earlier part of the show. So you lean a bit on the succession law. Why is it important for anyone that has a property? Because there are people that, there's a place called landless. And we know there are people that have not been blessed to have land. But as long as you have property, as long as you have something that is in your name, it's important to understand a bit of the succession law.
Yeah, yeah.
So why is it important for people to understand succession?
Maybe
You can correct me if
Yeah.
I use the wrong word. I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I want to correct you. I'm not specializing on succession. Succession is family law.
Oh, family law.
It's family
yes.
law.
Conveyance, I think.
Yeah, I'm into conveyancing.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
very true.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also do succession.
All right.
And I've done several. So I would say succession is divided into 2. There is what we call tested and intested. And I always advise people to go for tested. Intested is when you die and you have not left a will.
Okay.
You have died and there is no will. Now you will have to follow the law for that property to devolve to the beneficiaries, your successors.
Okay.
And then the other one is tested.
When you say tested, I know we are not in an English class.
Yes.
But that's like taste, like from the word taste, like an exam?
Testament.
Or testament. Okay.
Yeah, testament.
Okay.
Testament. It means that you have left a will behind and you have left your wishes on how you want your property to devolve to your
people.
To your people, your beneficiaries.
Yeah.
And then you list everything there. You can even list where you want to be buried. You can even list how you want your clothes to be
Wow.
to be dealt with. So I would advise people to be ready. But the Bible says a good man will leave inheritance
For his children's
for his children's children.
Yeah.
So if you leave inheritance behind, you see, those are some of the things when I went to law school and
Yeah.
I'm preaching about that verse,
Yeah.
I will go ahead
Yeah.
and maybe tell you, you don't have to leave your inheritance. Yes, you have left your inheritance, but you leave people in dispute.
Yeah.
You leave your family in dispute because you never left a will.
Yeah.
So your children begins to fight
Yeah.
over that property.
Yeah.
Because this one feels like I was more the most preferred son.
yeah,
I was my
Daddy's
dad's
best, favorite.
best. Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe I took care of my dad
Yeah.
in his last days.
Yeah.
So justice is that I should get a portion that is bigger
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah.
So you need to leave a will
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
And you see, if you write your will, one of the things that, before I forget, one of the mistakes that people do these days is that customary law is one of the sources of law. Remember I talked about natural,
And
eh,
positivist. I think there's
yeah,
something you
said
mentioned.
one of the sources is that law comes from God.
Yes.
The other one is that
Man-made.
the other one is man-made, like customary.
Yeah.
People sit down in different places.
Yeah.
Different tribes have different customs.
Yeah.
Like you will find that in for example, Kikuyu people, they won't have issues with their daughters inheriting property. But you go to Maasai, they will tell you, even our
That's a
ancestors,
no-go zone.
if we do this, it's a taboo. If we
Yeah,
do it,
yeah.
now you're trying to bring issues in this family.
Except
You-
for
you-
particular families.
Yeah,
Where
especially.
the man of the house could clearly say,
Yes.
I will leave my property for my daughters.
Yes.
And-
Now, the law is that your daughters should inherit,
Okay.
because the succession law is what we call equity
Okay.
in law.
Okay.
You have to make sure that you balance its fairness.
All right.
Fairness. If your daughters are married, there is that aspect of the daughters being married elsewhere.
Yeah.
And their husbands are also doing what?
Inheriting. So,
And they want to come back here and inherit.
Yeah.
What a good parent would do this, will give a small portion for you to avoid legal battles when
Okay.
you are not there.
Okay.
You just leave a small portion to your daughters, understanding that they are also married elsewhere, and their sons, their husbands, who are sons in the other family, they
Yeah.
will also do what?
Okay.
Inherit. So if the husband inherits there, and then you come back here again, you inherit again, there will be no fairness.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you just apportion, and there are case laws
Yeah.
that have decided that daughters must
Yeah.
inherit.
wow.
They are also children.
And okay, I guess maybe we would say that's a story for another day,
Yes.
but I have a question regarding the will. How old should one be to write a will?
Or the hedge. The law is not clear on the hedge, about the hedge. You can write because you can amend your will.
Yeah.
You can write your will at 40.
Okay.
And then as you continue, you sell. Either you sell your properties,
Then you amend the will.
or maybe you had other properties as you continue. So there is no a certain age, there is no specific
The
age in
age,
law
yeah,
where
when-
you're supposed to, as long as you have a family,
Yeah.
or maybe you have a property,
Yeah.
you need to start getting prepared.
Thank you for saying that. And I've just, there's almost like, it's almost taboo, has been taboo for anyone to write a will, because nobody ever thinks it's going to be them that will be absent tomorrow.
Yeah.
They always think it's going to be someone else,
Yes.
especially if you're not at that age where we would assume you're going to be away. So what's your word to Kenyans regarding their fear of writing a will? Because writing a will inaonekana ni kama unaita kifo.
Yeah.
There's that fear. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've come across that.
I know
Yeah.
that is very true.
Uh-huh.
That's a bit spiritual, but I would say a good person, when there is a place the Bible says if you want to build a house,
Yeah.
you must calculate the cost.
Definitely.
So if today you start amassing wealth and maybe you are 35, or maybe 40, I would advise you to do a will because I've seen what is happening nowadays. People are dying and death will never knock at your door and tell you, maybe
I'm coming tomorrow.
Get ready for me. It will just come, maybe an accident, sickness, or maybe you just sleep, you don't wake up. So I would tell people, just get prepared.
Yeah.
I won't tell you the specific age for you to start writing your will, but I will just say,
it's
get prepared.
prudent to do so.
It's prudent for you to be prepared. Yeah, because I've seen people dying young, and they leave the widow with so many issues with the brothers. And you find it's a young family, their children to be educated, and the husband had money, had properties,
but the kids
and the
live
brothers,
like beggars.
Yeah, they live as beggars, and the brothers of the deceased family, they begin to interfere, and they take everything. Your children will never know that their father had money one day.
So other than the will, what else can protect a lady in the event? Because many times it's a lady who suffers. Rarely do you find a man being akisumbuliwa na the in-laws, where
there are avenues. There are avenues, like if you can prove. That is the reason why I tell people, if you're married, and that is the reason why everybody needs a lawyer. You don't have to wait to be in a situation so that you start looking for a lawyer that you don't even have a relationship with. I advise people, when you're buying property, if it's matrimonial property, because there is how the law deals with matrimonial property.
Matrimonial means it belongs to the wife and the man.
Yes, it's a property that you acquired when you are both together. You're in marriage. I would advise people, when you get married and you want to buy property, buy it jointly. Yeah, if it's a title deed, like me, let that title deed bear my name and the name of my wife.
Your wife.
You will have you will protect your wife, or maybe your wife will protect you in the event that something happens, eventuality comes, and then you are no longer there. There will not be dispute. People will not even go to court, because they will just look. They will go and do a search.
Evidence.
They would go and do a search in lands, and they find, oh, this title deed
belongs to the two.
Yeah, this is a bona fide owner of this property. So they will just retreat. But if they find it's the name of the husband, and maybe you never went through all the processes, you don't have a marriage certificate, you don't have a marriage affidavit together, a joint marriage affidavit, these people will go to a lawyer.
Wow, let me get this straight, for the sake of many women out there that are watching. When you talk about the marriage certificate and the marriage affidavit, what's the difference?
Marriage affidavit, it's an affidavit that you swear to prove that you did a customary law.
Customary? Customary
law. You see this thing people call rurasho, ndeo, like if you're a Kamba, you go for traditional ceremony. That's a marriage by itself.
You sign, where do you sign?
You don't sign anywhere, but now you, after you're done, you go to a lawyer. You do a marriage affidavit, a joint one, a joint marriage affidavit, and say, we, so and so, of this ID number.
Wow.
Yeah, we have gone through
the customary
process of getting married according to Kikuyu customary law, Kamba customary law.
And you need witnesses to sign the affidavit as well?
You don't need, because a lawyer is enough. A lawyer is enough. A commissioner of horts.
I wonder how many Kenyans know that, honestly. Maybe they'll tell us whether they know that. Wow. I think it's interesting. How about the prenuptial agreements that people are making nowadays because of, and I know this is a little bit of the conveyancy, but it's still part of it, because the prenuptial agreements has become a common phenomena. What would you say about that?
It's a good thing.
Really?
I would say it's a good thing, depending on where you're sitting.
Where you stand, it's true.
Yeah, so I don't want to go much into that, into it. Because that is very personal.
It is. And then I would say, many times if someone is really loaded, like they have a lot of money, there are times you don't really know who loves you for who you are.
Yes.
And not for what you have.
Until.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's almost, what would say, a justification for it, maybe when the two are dating, because there are young guys today in Kenya that have so much money, withholding names. I was watching one recently one of the highest paid comedians in this country, and
Yeah.
you're like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy earns a lot.
Yes.
So at this point, definitely there'll be secret admirers.
Yes, yes.
And we don't know how many out of those are genuinely loving you for who you are.
Yes.
So I think that was something we thought was for the Western world.
Yeah.
But I think today it's slowly becoming a reality
Yes.
in our country. What is the, especially talking of challenges of being a lawyer, what have been some of the, what would be the challenging aspects of the law profession? Because we have young people that are aspiring to become lawyers because of those assumptions that people make. Lawyers swim in money.
Yeah.
The moment you become a lawyer, you smile all the way to the bank.
Which is
you
another
kiss
myth,
poverty goodbye,
Which is
another
another
myth.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges of this profession? Just be real with us, because there are some people that join this profession for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I would say one of the challenges is that you have to work long hours. Even at home, you find yourself, you see there are people when they leave office, they have left office.
Yes.
That is not the case with lawyers. You find clients are calling you, even at night, and they want you to address them.
Yeah.
They want you to address their issues.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I find very challenging is like being a pastor.
A doctor also.
In fact, when you're in law school, you were told about there is a certain unit, we used to call it professional ethics. If there is a lawyer that is watching me, there is a unit in law school, we call it professional ethics.
Yes.
And we said there are only, and I don't want to be misquoted, but we said there are only 3 professions in this world. The clergy, the lawyers, and doctors.
Wow.
And the issue is confidentiality.
Please add teachers there. Anyway, that's on a light note.
Yeah, most people argued, teachers, I remember that class and what was happening that day. Most people were saying, oh, you know, teachers, because all of you, doctors, pastors, you have passed through
A teacher. Oh, yeah.
So they were saying that.
Honorable profession.
But when you are talking about professionalism,
Yes.
it's the thing is confidentiality.
I
You will talk to a pastor about your issues,
Yeah.
and they will not tell anyone.
Very personal.
There are lawyers that have represented people in court knowing that they have committed a crime.
Yes.
And they will not say, even after they have settled that issue and they have gone and it's many years later, you will never find that lawyer saying, oh, this guy, I represented him, but I knew. Because you won't lie to your lawyer. When you go to that office, you will have to tell him, you know what, I did this and I did this. So that you will prepare.
And I need a defense.
I need a defense. You are a defense lawyer. I need a defense. Go find case laws that maybe they look like my circumstances and represent me.
Yeah.
But that lawyer will never take that secret out. Will never. And you will not sign anywhere.
Yeah.
You just talk like this.
Yeah.
And after that case is settled, you will never find him talking, I represented you, you know, I represented a certain politician, I knew he was on the wrong. Those are some of the challenges that we pass through.
You almost carry, in your conscience, you carry that weight of having to defend someone because it's your job.
Yes.
But you know the truth.
You know the truth.
But the evidence saves them.
Yeah, it saves them.
Or lack of evidence.
So you just go and you make sure you rebut the other evidence on the other side and maybe water it down so that maybe, you know the standard of proof, the burden of proof for criminal matters is beyond reasonable doubt.
Wow.
So if you put a very small doubt in a criminal case, that case will be thrown out.
Wow.
Because it has to be beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, so but in civil matters, we say it is on a balance of probability. So if you try to prove a case in a civil matter like trespass, and you try to prove there was even small aspect of trespass, you will win that case.
Wow.
But now in this other side, the standard is too high.
Yeah.
So if you do something and I happen to persuade the judge in a very small bit that you didn't do that, then that case will be thrown out because it is not beyond reasonable doubt.
Wow.
That is some of the challenges that lawyers go through.
And especially Christian lawyers.
Especially Christian lawyers. The other thing is the second challenge that I think it's a new trend. You have to understand technology. Now, if you're talking about election petitions, you have to understand how that system works.
Yeah.
How that technology of transmitting presidential results to the other side.
Yeah.
It is not law,
Yeah.
but for you to represent someone,
Yeah, you must understand.
you have to understand
Wow.
that technology. If you have a technology maybe in an institution like University of Nairobi,
Yeah.
and there is a certain technology that is used for students maybe to check their results,
Yeah.
maybe after you do your exams, after 3 weeks, you need to check on your portal and you see your results.
Okay.
You see your results for the previous semester, maybe after you have done exams.
Yeah.
You need to understand that
Yeah.
as a lawyer, so that in case something happens and you are representing a student from University of Nairobi, you will have to talk about that technology, whether you like it or not.
Or not.
And maybe if you don't, they will come and lecture you as a
Okay.
lawyer. And because you don't want to appear like
You don't know what you're doing.
you will have to make sure you know every technology.
Details.
Every details.
Wow.
How Facebook works, how Twitter, how everything
Instagram
about
and
how
all.
Instagram works.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
if you represent someone, maybe it's
You're
a
knowledgeable.
defamation.
Yeah.
They posted something on Facebook
Yeah.
concerning you.
Yeah.
And maybe it brought a bad image
Yeah.
concerning you to the public. You understand there is how you can pull it down. You understand? And if you take too long, it will appear like, if you don't pull it down and it has taken like 3 days, it
Yeah.
means like that you believe
Okay.
that this person has done a certain
Wow.
thing. So you have to
Interesting.
understand.
So it's actually sort of a complicated profession, but those that are inside know how to untwist the complications.
Yes, yes.
Wow, thank you. I mean, those that are following us from social media, Betim Dashi from Kitui says, I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much. We also have Bishop David saying it's good to have a lawyer. Clinton says, all right, that's a little bit different. And then we have Rose watching us from Meru saying, you are learning a lot. Thank you all for following us from the different parts of the country. And even for those that will be watching later, I'm sure there will be a lot you are going to be learning. And as you were talking, there are quite a few things that came up in my mind about when a lawyer loses a case. What goes on in the mind of a lawyer? You have done all that you know how. You have tried to work with the evidence provided, but the other side wins. Guilty or not, the other side wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you consider that one of the challenges?
That is a challenge. That is a challenge. But through your training as a lawyer, you are trained not to take your client's matters personal. So when you, that is the reason why when you see a lawyer losing a case in court, they will walk out smiling. And maybe you can mistake them. You can mistake them. Maybe if they were representing you, you can mistake them and say, this guy is happy that I have lost a case and I've paid him money. Because we have been trained. Don't get personal. This is a client. It's not your issue. Even when you're defending them in court. Don't become emotional. Professionalism is not emotional. You just present your case according to the evidence and you quote all the laws you know, but don't get emotional. So there are days you lose a case. There are days you win.
Wow.
That is the reality.
And you know, as you talk, it brings to my mind the doctor that loses a patient and maybe later they cry alone in the office. But there's such a major comparison that almost proves what you said about the three professions. But I don't want to sound like I'm supporting you. But there's a lot that seems really close to people's hearts. Now, tell me about clientele that is defended by almost 40 lawyers. Without naming names, I'm sure you know of a case recently where someone had 40 lawyers, if I'm not wrong. I did not exaggerate. And as a common Kenyan, I was asking myself, 40? What's all this about? What's that? I mean, you can only have one person speaking at a time. But you can see a whole 40 lawyers.
Sometimes is, I don't know whether you've had something we call amicus curiae. A friend of the court.
Let me not lie.
There are people that would come to court and they want to be given a few minutes to present their points. But they are coming as a friend of the court. That's Latin, eh? It just simply means a friend of the court.
A friend of the court.
And they will talk according to what they believe in that case. They will tend to, you know, when you're watching on TV, you will not know that person came as a friend of the court. Others will come in as interested parties lawyers who are interested parties in that matter, and they will happen like when you listen to them, they will have to take sides.
Yes.
And you will feel like they are supporting
The other
maybe
side.
the other side. So you will not know there is that one who came as an interested party, there is another one that came as a amicus curiae, a friend of the court, because they are talking the same thing. And if maybe you find after they have introduced themselves, you will think they are representing one side.
Okay.
But sometimes it's not,
Okay.
you know, the court matters are very complicated for members of public.
Yeah.
But there are those people who contract several lawyers
Yeah.
for just one case.
Yeah.
And you find 5 lawyers representing one person.
Yeah.
Different firms
Yeah.
representing one person
Yeah.
on the same matter.
Yeah.
It happens depending on how, because what you're trying to find is to persuade the judge.
Okay.
Yeah, so if this one does, the other one is doing the same thing, at the end of the day, you
Okay.
might persuade the judge.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, I would say it's like you're bargaining. It's like
Alright.
you're bargaining,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, because the judge will be writing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I see
you
them
can
do that a
imagine
lot.
you can imagine you being represented by one lawyer,
Yeah.
and another guy is being represented by 5.
4, 5.
So he will write, this advocate is on record for this person.
Okay.
He writes after a few pages, he will write again.
Yeah.
Another advocate
Yeah.
is on record for the same person again.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, when the judge is reading the submissions,
Yeah.
he will find
It's like there's more weight.
there is weight.
Does that say that says a lot in terms of the likelihood of maybe such a person winning the case,
Yeah.
as opposed to a person being represented by one?
Yeah, but it will depend.
It will depend on many
also
other
depend.
factors.
But the goal is to persuade the judge from the beginning, from the onset. The reason why you would bring several lawyers to represent you, it's because you want them to persuade
All right.
the judge.
Okay.
Yeah, but you may not win,
Yeah.
like the other one you saw.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
saw they
yeah.
were representing.
Yeah, so
I
many.
I don't want to mention, but they still lost.
Wow. Because of time, we may not continue so much. But tell us, if you are not a lawyer, this is a question I love to ask. What would be your other career that you'd have chosen?
I wanted to become a teacher, but my priority was to become a lawyer.
All right.
But I also had that passion to become a teacher, and I even taught. One time when I was in campus, these long holidays, because of that passion of wanting to become a teacher, I taught at some point.
All right.
The very high school that I went. I went
Yes.
back and taught. So and most people thought I was in the wrong profession that time. They told me, you are a good teacher, because I had passion for it. So I
Yes.
think I would have gone for teaching. I would be either a lecturer, I would be either an high school teacher,
Yeah.
or maybe,
And the beauty of life is that someone taught you
yeah,
to be where you are today.
very
And
true.
I believe as you grow older, as you represent more clients, a time will come and you'll be the person that the younger generation is looking up to.
Yes.
And of course, the beauty of life is what once was a dream becomes a reality for you, and it's another person's dream, it becomes a reality. So who knows, one day you might end up being
law
in the
lecturer.
classroom teaching future lawyers.
Yes.
Parting shot in terms of the young people that want to join this profession, could you just maybe give them a word of advice, encourage them, as we
Yeah.
bring this to a close?
Okay, I would say if you want to become a lawyer, it's good to understand there is another myth that you must do history and government.
Yeah.
If you are a parent and you're watching me,
History and government.
history and government in high school, for you to be, and it's a myth.
Yeah.
When you join law school,
Yeah.
even when you're getting the qualifications,
Yeah.
when you read the prospectus from different universities,
Yeah.
you won't find history and government
Okay.
in that qualification. They will
Yeah.
tell you languages, Kiswahili and
English.
and maybe an aggregate grade. So I would advise if parents who are watching me and you want maybe your children to become lawyers, you have to make sure that you prepare them
Yeah.
as early as now,
All right.
especially the reading culture.
Yeah.
Because there is no lawyer who is lazy when
Yeah.
it becomes to reading. You will always read a billboard.
Lawyers are readers, eh?
Yeah, when you get into a matatu, you're reading everything.
Yeah.
When you're walking. Because most people think lawyers are bad people. Train them so that they have those morals.
It's a
when they are
noble
growing.
profession.
Yes, it's a noble profession.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dennis Makau. Honestly, I have learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers have learned a lot, and even from the comments on social media, it's clear that there's a lot that they've learned that they didn't know. And so, my dear viewer, from wherever you're watching, this is the Morning Digest. Today, we were talking Matters Law. You can watch later, share the link, and until we meet again next week on Thursday, same place, same time, may the Lord bless you.
We are done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You made my work easy.